Hi, hello, good morning. It's just a quick video. It's actually come up on my phone that it's -3 today. And one of the things that the government are actually trying to push for is to make sure that every property in the country follows the basic energy efficient guidelines and is up to standard. I can't remember the exact year that they're hoping to achieve this by, but one of the things they really need to focus on, in my opinion, is not just council properties, which obviously they have a care and due diligence to maintain and care for anyway, but also properties like mine, which is obviously a rented property, where landlords, for some reason, if you're in the private rented sector, they don't tend to be under the same guidelines and regulations as if like you were in social housing or in a council. Now, I've been in social housing. They were absolutely crap. I had so many problems with the property. I was basically harassed so much that I ended up leaving. And the only reason I left was because I was under the impression that I'd been Section 21 and that I had to leave by law. If I had had a support network around me to support me, and I knew what I know now, I never would have left. There was a lot of issues with the property. There was a lot of antisocial behaviour. There was a lot of the appliances didn't work. It was one of these properties that got put up really quickly to pass certain building regulations. But then once it was up, the regulations changed within 6 months, and therefore they had to come back and do work to the premises. I lived there for 4 years, and oh my God, the amount of times I had to ring up the housing officer and say, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, this is broken, that is broken. And they would bully me so much to the point where they would be threatening me over the phone, shouting at me down the phone. Nothing was really ever done in writing, same as where I am now. And they were saying, if you don't do this, we can Section 21 you must give us access to the premises. But I'm in work, I work in Birmingham, I can't just turn up, halfway through my shift and give somebody the keys to my house. And so they basically made it out like it was my fault that I became homeless. But the amount of stress I got put under by the government, by my local council, and by my local, the housing association I was under, I just did not know where I was. There just seemed to be very little information or guidance out there. And even yesterday when I was in the council house, a lot of people were saying, oh, use Shelter, use Shelter. But Shelter are a registered charity that do try to help and support and guide people, regardless of what your situation is with where you live, as to what your rights are as a tenant, whether you are in private accommodation, council, housing, whether you've got a mortgage, shared ownership. There's a lot of really useful information on the Shelter website. But to actually have the opportunity to sit down and speak to a normal human being just is really, really hard, even with Citizens Advice, because they're all volunteers. So at the moment, I know the government are pushing this, trying to get all this funding that's available used up and to make properties more energy efficient and safe for people to live in, whether it's private rented accommodation, housing association, council, or even if you're a homeowner. But I really believe you need to target the private sector housing. My landlord, I've lived here for 8 years, has done nothing to this property in the 8 years I've lived here. It is -3 at the moment. I usually have a thermometer on the wall. My little boy must have took it down because it's number-based to tell me how cold each room of the house is. I have had environmental health come out, and they've assured me that, yes, there are things that need to be done to the property to bring it up to the legal requirements, but at the moment I should be all right. So during the winter, obviously there's always a lot of information out there about how to support yourself, how to stay safe, how to stay well, how to stay warm, how to stay healthy. And again, there's things like warm hubs that are available, but the irony of going to a warm hub is you have to leave a house to go there, or your property to go there in the first place. So I think more useful information needs to be online, or, maybe if not even online, even if it's leaflet distributed to areas of each town or county, which they know people are struggling because of all the changes to getting help and support, because the winter fuel grants have now been taken away from people, so that they are safe. And one of the ways I would try and encourage people to do that is to get to know the people that live near you. A lot of people live in isolation nowadays. We are not as social as we used to be. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But, if you've got people in your area and you've not seen them or spoken to them for a while, you don't have to speak to everybody all the time. I'm not saying live in people's pockets. But I know, like in my street, for example, there are a few elderly people. And if I hadn't seen them for a couple of days, I'd be a bit concerned. And I'd want to know that they were okay. So again, you don't even have to do it for strangers. It could just be for your loved ones. Give them a text in the morning or a text at night just to check they're okay, that they're safe, they're well, they're healthy. Don't, I'm not saying go and bang on their door and make sure that you need proof of life physically, but I do feel this year is going to be quite cold, and with a lot of the benefit cuts that have been happening, that there's going to be a lot more deaths. And I'm not trying to be morbid. I mean, it is almost the Christmas holidays, and people want to be safe. They want to be well. They want to be happy. They want to have that time of celebration. But at the moment, people are struggling to even keep their houses heated. And with it being -3 outside at the moment, doesn't necessarily mean that the interior of your house is going to be -3. That is what it is outside. But I do think that people's health and well-being just need to come first. And if you are concerned about the health and safety and welfare of anyone within your community, there have been a lot of registered charities and groups that have been set up to offer more support, more care and due diligence to neighbouring communities all over the country, not just in my hometown, Nuneaton, to support people that may potentially be vulnerable, especially at this time of year. So be safe, be well, and if possible, just extend that olive branch to someone in the community over the next couple of days, now that the warmer temperatures have started to surface. Thank you, and take care of you.